On Friday, after almost 7 years, the federal government signed off and finally approved the extension of the North West Shelf project. This will extend the life of the giant gas field from 2030 out to 2070, bringing prosperity and taxes to Australia and energy security to our neighbours, including Japan and Korea. The fact these gas projects take such a long time to be approved says everything about Australia's declining competitiveness. To be positive, the Environment Minister, Murray Watt, did make the final pragmatic decision with strong urging from the WA Labor Premier, Roger Cook.
Following the consideration of rigorous scientific advice, I have today given final environmental approval for the North West Shelf project extension. This approval is subject to 48 strict conditions designed to protect 60,000-year-old rock art at Murujuga in the Pilbara region.
Now, the North West Shelf is not the only key gas project that needs wholehearted government support. The Beetaloo basin in the Northern Territory has the potential to alleviate the critical gas shortages in the eastern states, plus to replace lost gas production as the Bass Strait reserves deplete. Alex Underwood is Chief Executive of Beetaloo Energy, one of the key gas companies with resources in that area, and joins me now. Alex, many thanks for your time. Can I first get a reaction to the government making this decision, this final decision on extending the life of the North West Shelf?
Well, it's fantastic news for Western Australia and the country, really. We desperately need more gas supply both into the domestic market and to support our trading partners in Asia, and so it's a delight to see it happen.
OK, so then your own projects and those other companies that are in the Beetaloo Basin, they can not only provide gas to Darwin, to the Northern Territory, which doesn't have coal-fired power stations, but on top of that, it also can potentially alleviate the gas shortages on the East Coast. The question is there going to be enough gas coming on stream soon enough to be able to alleviate those shortages?
Well, the answer in short is yes. We and some of our neighbours in the basin are only months away from delivering gas into the Northern Territory market. There is some connectivity into Australia's east coast, albeit limited. So, we think we're quite close to supply both into the NT market and Eastern Australia.
Have you suffered the same sort of delays that Woodside suffered in getting those environmental approvals into the North West Shelf extension?
Not necessarily. It's still been a fairly long journey for us to get into initial production.
How long?
So I've been doing this for about 7 years and, we started off with exploration and it has taken some time to get our approvals, but, we're knocking on the door of production now.
So what sort of approvals have taken the longest time to get across the line to get to this production?
So we operate under an extremely rigorous Northern Territory-based regulatory system, and under that system we require approvals from traditional owners, local pastoralists and the government. Those processes are extensive and require us to really gain the trust and respect of all of those key stakeholder groups. And, it's taken a couple of years, but, we've got those approvals now and we're pushing forward.
Talk to me about the pipelines. There's APA Group, which is Australia's giant pipeline operator. What's required to try and get the gas from your fields to the east coast of Australia, along with to the Northern Territory?
Yeah, so pipelines in Australia suffer one of the issues of having a vast country in size with a very small population. The Beetaloo is an enormous gas resource. It contains enough gas to power Australia for the next couple of 100 years, but it's not located very close to the major demand centres of New South Wales and Victoria, where there are significant shortages that are getting worse by the day. As I mentioned, there's a small pipeline connecting into the East Coast, but to really help resolve the East Coast's problems, we need bigger pipelines into those gas-hungry markets. APA have been, very supportive of the Beetaloo, and they have enunciated plans to build a very large pipeline into the East Coast. What they need to see is the proving up of the resources at the upstream level, which is what we and our neighbours such as Tamboran have been very focused on doing. And then they need the customers at the other end, who I can assure you are very keen to see this gas delivered.
I'm certain about that. Just one thing, would it be easy to build those gas pipelines straight to the East Coast from Beetaloo, or to go down further into, say, the Cooper Basin, where there's already existing infrastructure?
Yeah, so APA's plans are to get into Mount Isa, where they then have a continuous network of pipelines into Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne. There have also been plans enunciated to go down into Moomba, which does get you more directly down into Sydney and Melbourne.
So is there a better way from your perspective as a gas producer as to how that gas should move? Because quite clearly, the more efficiently you can get your gas to the East Coast market, the more you're likely to sell.
Yeah, so that is somewhat a question for our customers as to where the gas needs to go. What I would say is that in the past, we've had a problem in this country where we have built pipelines for the size of the demand and supply on day one of construction of that pipe. I think what we need to start doing in this country to future-proof our pipeline networks is to oversize those pipelines, potentially through support of government vehicles such as the Northern Australian Infrastructure Facility. That will allow demand to grow over time into those existing pipelines and will also help drive down tariffs to use the pipelines, which ultimately will benefit the consumers.
And then the other side of this, from your point of view as a gas producer, do you have contracts for that gas, or are you more likely to try and exploit spot markets to actually sell it to the open market and then take whatever price is sitting there on that time?
So our focus for the first few years is on supporting the Northern Territory market. This gas belongs to the people of the Northern Territory. They are suffering shortages themselves, and so it's only right and fair that we support the local market first.
So in other words, you would support gas reservations. That's a part and parcel of your operations in operating in the Northern Territory.
We've made it very clear for a long time that we believe that the Northern Territory should come first, then Australia's East Coast, and ultimately LNG export. However, it has to be done in a way that ensures that it can be delivered affordably and efficiently into the East Coast market.
If you were to export, if there was sufficient gas there that you had contracts you could actually fulfil overseas, would that gas, you imagine, go out of Darwin or would it go out of Gladstone?
Darwin is closer to the Beetaloo basin than Gladstone. Ultimately, again, that is a question for the LNG exporters who own those terminals. I foresee that there's an opportunity for both. You know, the coal seam methane fields of Queensland have been an incredible economic blessing to Queensland and Australia, and they've underwritten 6 LNG trains out of Gladstone. But those fields aren't going to last forever, and so they will need backfill, and putting gas into that existing infrastructure is quite capital efficient, whether to Darwin or Gladstone or both.
OK, so you are an operator in Beetaloo. There is gas there. Tamboran has found that gas as well. Do you find the fact that there is an East Coast gas shortage just a bit nuts?
I certainly do. I mean, Australia is incredibly blessed to have some of the world's best energy resources, and yet here we are suffering shortages. What I can say is we as a company are very committed to helping to resolve those shortages, and I think the Beetaloo has an incredibly important role to play.
OK, just a final very quick one. Does the federal government have to do anything for you to be able to support and provide that gas to the East Coast market and to the Northern Territory?
So right now we are regulated by the Northern Territory government. There will be a point in the future where we reach a sufficient level of scale that federal approvals will be required, and that's as these operations scale up.
I'll tell you what, Alex Underwood, great to have you on the program today, and many thanks for your time.
Thank you.